So, it's been a good while now since I started making videos on this little channel of mine, and in that time I've covered quite a few topics that have piqued my interest, and have managed to bring over 3,000 of you along with me as I continue to take a look at a load of lost, cancelled, and fascinating pieces of media. And seemingly, the type of videos that you guys enjoy the most are my videos about lost and cancelled media from classic TV that we all loved and enjoyed as kids, with one of my most viewed videos still being my very first one that focused on the lost and cancelled media of an often forgotten block called Jetix. And while you guys seem to enjoy that video quite a bit, thanks a lot for the love in the comments guys, man, that video was not that good. I was talking at light speed, like I was trying to do my best impression of the Micro Machine Man. I sounded like a robot. It features a ton of copyrighted material that actually got the video blocked in India, funnily enough. My editing skills have slightly improved since, and perhaps the biggest crime of all, it only covered 5 pieces of lost media to do with Jetix. In my opinion, that's not nearly enough, so I went into hibernation for a while, scoured the file reaches of the internet, and tried to find as many pieces of lost media that I could to do with Jetix. Inevitably, I'm sure there's a super obscure piece of Jetix lost media available in the deepest, darkest corner of the web that I probably haven't come across, so while this is my attempt at trying to cover almost every piece of Jetix lost media that I could find, if there is anything I miss, do let me know in the comments below. So as my way of saying thank you for your continued support on that first video, and to redeem myself from the horrible first attempt that was, we'll be revisiting some old friends and meeting some new ones as I take you through the complete lost media of Jetix. Naruto Censored UK version. Here in the UK, the incredibly popular anime series Naruto first aired on Jetix between July of 2006 up until the summer of 2009, with around 100 episodes airing in that time on the channel. The main thing that makes this version of Naruto unique is that it fell victim to very heavy censorship that was much more severe than the censoring done to the US version of the show that aired on Cartoon Network. Very little is known about exactly what was censored in this version of the series, as the only evidence for its existence comes from a couple of promos for the show that aired on Jetix and were posted to YouTube. There are also posts online from people trying to search for them and confirming some small details about the changes made. From what I've seen posted online, some of the notable changes included removing most if not all of the blood from the series, any lines of dialogue that mention killing or death, freeze-framing a scene involving the sexy jutsu in the second episode, and editing down some episodes so much that they only ran for around 15 minutes. Interestingly, according to posts I found on online forums, the censoring that was done to the UK version of the show, that aired on Jetix, is likely the same as the censoring done to other international versions of the show, such as the Polish and Russian versions, so finding episodes of these may give us a better idea of what was and wasn't changed in the show. In terms of what we have from this version, as stated before, the only video footage we have are some promos that have been archived by fans online. However, we may have some hope of finding some of these episodes, as it appears at least one of them was released on a promo DVD for Jetix that features one episode of Naruto and one of Oban's Star Races. It's not known how this DVD was distributed or released, but if I had to guess, it was likely a free DVD given away with either the Jetix magazine or as part of some other promotion, as this was a fairly common thing to do back in the early 2000s. There was actually one of these DVDs listed on eBay UK for about £7 that apparently features the first episode, and it was bought by none other than me, so I've gone ahead and grabbed the episode from the DVD. And from what I can tell, this version of the episode is similar to, or the same as what I've read was censored in the original Cartoon Network airing of Naruto, where all blood is censored, while words like kill are still used. Granted, I never actually watched Naruto back in the day when it aired on Cartoon Network or Jetix, so I can't say if this is the version of the episode that actually aired on Jetix, so maybe fans of the series can tell me in the comments below if there are any differences between the censored version they saw back in the day and the one on the DVD. The back of the cover also gives this DVD a 15 rating, which definitely wouldn't be common here in the UK for a show that was made to air on a kids channel, so that does lead me to believe that this probably wasn't the version that was shown on Jetix on TV. I'll try and see if there's any way for me to archive it online so that you guys can keep me in the know if this is the version that aired back in the day, or if this is just the Cartoon Network version released with a Jetix branding. Other than this though, our only other shot of finding any other episodes from this version of Naruto are if there were any other promo DVDs released similar to the one I mentioned here, or if fans in the UK happen to record any of these episodes back in the day and are able to archive them on the internet. The Real Captain Flamingo Show. Airing on Jetix in both Europe and America, Captain Flamingo is a Canadian-Filipino animated series that aired on YTV in Canada and Jetix in the US and some other international territories. The series follows a Japanese-Canadian boy named Milo Powell who transforms into the titular superhero, Captain Flamingo, to help young kids whenever they need help or assistance. The show appears on this list not for the main series, which is thankfully archived and available in its entirety on multiple streaming services such as Tubi and Peacock, but for a couple of lost special episodes that were produced around the time of the production of the show's third season. There isn't much information available on these two special episodes, but what we do know is that these episodes went under the title The Real Captain Flamingo Show, as opposed to simply Captain Flamingo, and contained original songs and short vignettes not seen in the main series. It is also known that these two specials were produced with the intention of them being mainly available through online and mobile platforms such as Jetix and YTV's websites. There are various random pieces of footage from these two episodes available online in the form of several screenshots and small clips shared by different users or found in animation reels posted by animators that worked on the show. These include a scene where Quantum Vigilante is floating in space and a scene where Captain Flamingo is jumping through some obstacles, along with the title card used for these specials and other random screenshots. At one point in time, the intro for the show dubbed in Dutch was posted to YouTube by user TekkenFilmNL, however the video itself as well as their channel was privated, and from what I can see, the intro has not been uploaded elsewhere online. An interesting thing to note about Captain Flamingo in general is that the distributor who currently owns the rights to it, 9 Story Media Group, actually lets you request screeners for the series by emailing them through their website. On the listing for the show, it lists 52 episodes of the main series and 2 22-minute specials, which, presumably, are the missing Real Captain Flamingo Show episodes that we need. I'm unsure if anyone has tried to request a screener through this form, but I did send an email requesting access to the episodes during the making of this video, and haven't received a response as of yet. If someone was able to successfully get in contact with the company and get their hands on a screener copy of these two episodes, I think this would be our best shot at seeing them again and being able to archive them for fans to enjoy. Pucca, Attack of the Schlumpie. One of the shows that I often see most associated with Jetix is an animated series that is a South Korean and Canadian co-production called Pucca. The show follows the antics of the titular Pucca, a delivery girl who works in a noodle shop and has a crush on her ninja master named Garu, who she often chases around. The show initially ran for 2 seasons on Jetix between 2006 and 2008, with a third season released on Netflix in 2018, with each episode consisting of 2 to 3 segments per episode. And as this is a Jetix video, we're going to be focusing on the seasons that aired on that channel, more specifically the show's second season, which was made up of 13 episodes with a total of 37 segments. For those of you who have seen the show, you'd know that this is significantly shorter than the show's first season, which was comprised of 26 episodes with 78 segments, which is over double the number of episodes that season 2 has. And while there aren't any lost or unaired episodes that are 100% confirmed to exist from the show's second season, a mysterious listing on a website does give us some evidence to suggest that season 2 may have had more episodes at some point. An episode titled Attack of the Schlumpie was listed under season 2's page on the website filmweb.pl, an online film database based in Poland, similar to IMDb, which has been operating since 1998. The site lists the episode as Attack of the Schlumpie Parts 1, 2, and 3 with an air date of the 26th of October 2009, but offers no other information on the episode. Based on this listing, the episode was split into 3 parts, similar to Season 2's 6th episode, Chef Napped, however nothing else is known about it. It isn't listed on IMDb or any other website online, and how it even ended up on this website to begin with is a complete mystery. It is currently unknown if this is some sort of cancelled or unproduced episode from Season 2, or simply a mistake on filmweb.pl. One interesting thing to note is that the air date for the episode is listed as October of 2009, which is much later than the rest of Season 2, which aired between March and August of 2008 on Jetix, and this is also after Jetix became Disney XD in the US, which happened in February of 2009. Overall, the whole case with this episode is really strange, and while I'm barely sure it doesn't actually exist, it does beg the question, where does the title come from? Attack of the Schlumpie is a pretty unique title, all things considered, especially since Schlumpie isn't actually a word as far as I can tell in any language, and there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of chatter online about any missing or lost episodes of Pucca. A Polish film database being the only place the title can be found is also a bit of an oddity, but that sounds about in line with most bizarre lost media topics. Either way, I'm interested to see if anything more ever comes from this potentially lost or cancelled episode, or if anyone is able to get in contact with the creators of the show so that we can put to rest the mystery of Pucca, Attack of the Schlumpie. Jetix magazine comic strips. Between the years of 2004 and 2009, a company from the UK called Future Publishing published a Jetix magazine under the apt name Jetix Magazine before being renamed to Nitro for its last few issues. These magazines usually included gifts or some kind of small toy or DVD featuring episodes from Jetix shows, and they featured write-ups on the shows that were airing on the channel at the time and other kids-focused content. One of the mainstays of these magazines were comic strips based on the various shows that aired on the channel, such as Sonic X, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and the ones that I remember most, and that seemed to appear the most frequently in issues of the magazine, Power Rangers. The Power Rangers ones specifically were based on the current season of Power Rangers airing on the channel at the time, with each season of the show that aired on Jetix, these being Ninja Storm all the way through to RPM, receiving comics of some kind. The majority of these comic strips are considered lost, as there doesn't appear to be a huge amount of preservation for the Jetix magazine in general, and the comics themselves have not really been archived online in any complete way. There are covers and random pages from these magazines posted all around the internet, and users Zeo Ranger UK, who I'm sure will be mentioned throughout this list as they are a great source of Jetix UK preservation, has a bunch of content on their website from these magazines, including a complete list of the magazines and the contents that were included within them. My mum actually used to buy me some of these magazines when I was a kid, so I do have a lot of nostalgia even just looking at some of the pictures of these covers. They do have a special place in my heart, and I'd love to see them all archived online one day. However, the only way of doing this would be if someone who bought the magazines back in the day, and still happens to own them in good condition, scanned their copies and uploaded them somewhere online. Until this happens, they will likely remain forgotten, which I imagine is the same fate shared by many kids' magazines like this one. WWE 24x7. As our first repeat offender from the first video, WWE 24x7 was a wrestling compilation show produced by the WWE and broadcast on Jetix India in May 2007 as a way for the WWE to expand into the Indian TV market in the late 2000s. The WWE tried various different tactics to try and secure viewers in the region, which included booking Indian wrestler the Great Khali to win the World Heavyweight Championship in July of 2007, the same year that this show aired, alongside creating localized versions of Raw to show in India called Raw Sunday Dhamal. The only other mentions of this show that I could find online outside of my first video are a press release featured on WrestlingFigs.com and another press release from Disney themselves that give us the only details on what exactly this show entailed. In the show, viewers would be treated to a compilation of wrestling matches that ranged from the 1980s all the way to recaps of modern day matches, with various WWE superstar matches being showcased, such as Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Undertaker, and John Cena. This series aired as part of a block on Jetix India called the Summer Action Vacation Block that was used to promote a variety of new shows and movies played on Jetix at the time, and there was even a contest involving the show where kids would identify a wrestler based on a silhouette shown in the episodes to try and win tickets to go to the 2007 SummerSlam event, with other prizes including merchandise signed by WWE superstars. Much like the last time we took a look at this series, there is quite literally no information available about it on the internet. Unfortunately, but quite predictably, for a show this obscure, no footage or screenshots exist anywhere online, and without home recordings from any fans in India, I think it will likely remain this way, as a show of this nature is unlikely to receive a home media release at this point. Combo Ninos. Combo Ninos is a French animated series that was released in August 2008 and was created by Saban International Paris, which is a now defunct subsidiary of Saban Entertainment of Power Rangers fame. The show followed the titular Combo Ninos, a group of 4 juveniles who study martial arts and transform into mystical beings in anthropomorphic animal form by touching a totem that appears on the creature that they transform into. They use their abilities to protect the city of Novo Niza from mystical creatures known as Divinos in an attempt to send them back to their own dimension. Despite being produced in France, the show was made in English and had an English dub that was made in America that aired on Jetix in various parts of Europe. However, after it aired, the series fell into obscurity and information on it has become incredibly scarce, with only a few mentions of it appearing online from what I could see. Like many other shows that fall into obscurity in this way, the English version of the show hasn't been released on home media, and thanks to this, it's much harder to get your hands on episodes of this dub of Combo Ninos. The information about which episodes are and aren't available is just as hard to track down as the show itself, so the most up-to-date information I could find, which I'm presenting here, comes from the archived version of the old Lost Media wiki, and what I was able to find on various websites and forums with my own research. From what I could tell, almost every episode of the show is available online in English thanks to fan recordings, most of which seem to be from an Australian TV channel called 7/2, which is another channel that aired the English dub of the series many years ago. While most of the show is available to watch online, you probably noticed that I said almost all of the show is archived, as there are 2 episodes of the show where the English dubs are nowhere to be found. These being episode 13, titled El Gecko, and episode 22, titled The Old Switcheroo. As of 2026, recordings of the English versions of both of these episodes have never surfaced online, although there is footage of foreign language versions of these episodes available, and due to how obscure the show is, the only way it likely would be found officially is if the show is randomly released on a streaming or video on demand service, as a physical release is unlikely at this point. Alternatively, fan recordings from Jetix, ITV1 and CITV in the UK, 7 Network and 7/2 in Australia, and TV2 in New Zealand may also help us find the episodes, as the show is known to have also aired in those regions. One interesting thing about this dub is that even though it was made in America, the show never actually aired there, so those of you who watch the Jetix block on Toon Disney probably have never heard of this show. But for those of you from Europe, Australia, or any of the other regions where this show aired, feel free to dig through any recordings you have of Jetix or other channels that aired the series back in the day, as it is likely the only way we'll ever see the English dubbed version of these 2 episodes again. Power Primate Practice. Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go was an animated series that aired on Jetix that was about 5 robot monkeys who train a human boy named Chiro to become a superhero to help them save the fictional Shugazoom City from the Skeleton King. From what I can tell, the series was one of the more popular original shows that aired on Jetix, and that honestly isn't a huge shock to me, since the show was created by Ciro Neely, the showrunner of the 2012 version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and the director of the first 2 seasons of Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, both of which I'm a huge fan of. Like a lot of the other shows that aired on the channel, Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go had a variety of flash games available on the Jetix website for fans to play, one of which was called Power Primate Practice. In the game, the player controls Chiro and the monkeys, with the goal of each stage being to get to the exit without being hit by any of the skeletons that are walking around the maze-like levels. The game was available across the various Jetix websites that used to exist when the block and Jetix channels were on the air, but once these sites were taken down, the game became unavailable. A flash file with the game's loader was actually found on the Wayback Machine, but unfortunately it didn't load past the main menu, making the game unplayable using this file, and lost to time for many years. Fortunately though, in a nice turn of events for this list, unlike most of the other entries, this one actually has a happy ending, as the game was found in February of 2020 when a member of an archiving team called Flashpoint, a group dedicated to preserving Flash-based animations and games, discovered a full copy of the game on a rare promotional Jetix DVD that was included with an issue of the UK's Jetix magazine. This game, along with all the other games that were available on the promo DVD, have been archived into the Flashpoint collection, as well as have been uploaded to the Internet Archive so that fans of the show, and those interested in Jetix Lost Media, can play and enjoy the game. W.I.T.C.H Pilot. Based on an Italian comic book of the same name and becoming a cult classic of Jetix, W.I.T.C.H is an animated series that follows 5 girls who have magical powers over the classical elements that they use to battle the evil Prince Phobos and Lord Cedric as guardians of the Veil, a barrier that separates Earth and the fictional world of Meridian. Both the TV series and comic book were an original creation from Disney Publishing and SIP Animation, and the series would go on to become one of the most popular series to ever air on Jetix. The first season became a breakout success for the block in the US, registering record ratings upon its premiere, and in Europe, the show was arguably an even bigger success, as it was the most popular Jetix original series in the region as of fiscal year 2007. With this being the case, the main series itself is well preserved, with it being released on DVD in multiple regions, and being released to streaming in France. Despite this though, some lost media from the series may still exist, as there is evidence to suggest that a pilot episode from the series may be out there that is supposedly lost to time. This pilot is said to be 15 minutes in length and was used to test the series with a focus group in 2003, 2 years before the series itself would air. However, it was never released publicly and cannot be watched anywhere online in its entirety. There are various pieces of evidence to suggest that this pilot exists, the biggest of which comes to us from a post in 2006 on the W.I.T.C.H forums on TV.com by a user called W.I.T.C.H Insider, who, as her name suggests, seems to be someone with inside knowledge of the show and its production. Her post is where the existence of this pilot and its runtime were first revealed, and in the post she mentions that the American intro for season 1 of the show, which used different footage to that of the UK intro, features footage from demo reels done by various different animation studios that SIP Animation tested for the first season. This has led some fans to theorise that some, or all of these scenes, may be from this supposed 15-minute pilot, and this theory is further supported by some of the early promotional material for the series, as some of the TV spots that were aired before the show's premiere include clips that don't appear in any of the actual episodes, and feature slightly different animation to that of the final show. Additionally, a storyboard artist who worked on the series named Philippe Saunier posted storyboards to his blog that feature scenes that are reminiscent of the second episode in the series, titled It Resumes, but with some pretty significant changes. Now, while this could be written off as them changing the episodes as production went on, there are some key details about these storyboards that suggest that they may be from this pilot. These storyboards don't feature a production code or episode number, something that is often common on storyboards used in television production, and the second episode of the series credits different storyboard artists, none of which are named Philippe Saunier. If they are from this long-lost pilot, these storyboards give us what is potentially our only look at this episode, as there is no footage, screenshots, or even a plot synopsis that is confirmed to be from the pilot anywhere available on the internet. The only details we have on it are those that I have shared here, and even those are up for contention, as we don't know for sure that the storyboards that have been found are from this episode, and technically speaking, there isn't any tangible proof that this pilot actually exists beyond some small clips from TV spots and the mention of it on those forums all those years ago. If you guys wanted my 2 cents, I personally do think that this pilot exists. Even though nothing has been confirmed about this pilot from anyone who worked on the show, I think there's enough evidence that lines up from the different sources we have available to suggest that this thing exists somewhere out there. Now, who actually has it, that's another question entirely. My assumption would be that Disney still owns the rights to the franchise, as they're the ones who made the show and the original comics to begin with, so they may have a copy of whatever this pilot is in their vault somewhere. If not them, then it may be down to one of the original creators or someone who worked on the pilot to release it publicly. This is all assuming that it actually exists in the first place. Daigunder. This anime series is about a boy named Akira who uses a combination of robots to form the Daigunder unit, a robot unit created by his grandfather, to compete in tournaments where robots are pitted against one another in fights. The English dub of the series that aired on Jetix has some episodes that cannot be viewed today, as the original Japanese version of the show has a total of 39 episodes, whereas only 28 episodes of the English version that aired on Jetix are available today. The 11 remaining episodes are completely lost, but it is known that these episodes were definitely dubbed, as the English titles for the remaining episodes appeared on some websites across the internet. They also supposedly aired on the Family Channel in Canada and on a channel in New Zealand called TVNZ, but outside of the random episodes uploaded to the internet by fans and DVD volume sets containing some of the already uploaded episodes, not a lot of the dubbed version of this series looks to be available today. In general, I could barely find any information about the dub for this series, and all of the information I've shared with you here comes from a post on the Lost Media Wiki forums, so if any of you remember watching this show back in the day on Jetix, do let me know, as I'd like to know if any of you guys are interested in seeing this dub resurface again. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Nightmares Recycled. Now this one is one I definitely wanted to revisit, as I'm a huge Ninja Turtles fan who discovered the franchise through Jetix with the 2003 series, and there was some information which I feel like I could have explained better in my first video, so let's give this one another shot. For those who aren't fans of the Turtles or didn't watch this show, the 2003 version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, created by 4Kids TV and airing on Fox in America, as well as Jetix here in the UK, was a much darker and more serious adaptation of the franchise than previous iterations such as the 1987 cartoon, being closer in tone to the original Mirage comics upon which it was based. Due to its dark tone, some of the show's content was deemed too graphic to air on US television, such as Season 4 episode Insane in the Membrane, which was banned from airing on 4Kids affiliates in the US due to scenes of immense violence that sees scientist Baxter Stockman's clone body decomposing on screen, as well as him attaching cybernetic and diseased limbs to his body. And even though this episode was banned from airing, it did eventually make its way onto the 4Kids website and was later released on DVD, unlike the episode we're talking about today, which was considered so dark it was never even finished. Titled Nightmares Recycled, this episode was planned to be the 6th episode of the 5th season of the show, also known as the Ninja Tribunal arc, which, ironically enough, also ended up being lost for a short time when 4Kids decided to delay the airing of the episodes. This episode would have followed an encounter that the Turtles, April O'Neil, and Casey Jones had with Garbage Man, a minor villain who appeared earlier in the show, who takes the heroes to Recycle World, which is his new realm. The episode would have revealed that Garbage Man was actually once conjoined twins with Hun, a recurring villain in the series who led the Purple Dragons and was the Shredder's right-hand man. Hun, wanting to be rid of his conjoined twin, hires a back alley surgeon to separate the two, with the surgeon who separated them then performing experiments on Garbage Man, turning him into the character we see in the series. The heroes battle Garbage Man, which ends with him being drowned in a vat of acid, with Hun flushing him out to sea. The episode then ends with Hun and the Turtles leaving, believing that Garbage Man is dead, before showing a bubbling slick of acid rising out of the water, with something alive inside, hinting that Garbage Man survived his fight with our heroes. The plot summary I have just read comes from what is believed to be the third and final draft of the episode, according to Dan Berger, an employee who worked at Mirage Studios while the episode would have been in development. Earlier versions of Nightmares Recycled were even darker than this third draft, but they were heavily criticised by TMNT co-creator Peter Laird, so the final draft had changes made to it based on Peter's feedback. Changes included altering Hun's relationship with his brother from being one of pure hatred to being more of a love-hate relationship, changing the reaction to his brother's supposed death from being uncaring and cold in the original version of the episode to implying that he had more mixed emotions, and changing the ending to hint that Garbage Man had survived his encounter with Hun and the Turtles, as opposed to the original version, which had him straight up die when he fell into the acid. All of these changes, along with a few others to make the episode less dark and grim, were made to the script, and a first pass of the episode's animation was made, but after it was decided that it was impossible to edit the episode down in a way that would make it possible to air on TV, 4Kids scrapped the episode due to struggles getting the episode through broadcast standards. For a long time, it wasn't known what exactly this first pass really contained until 2023, when lead art director on the series Emilio Lopez confirmed on Twitter to user OichiHS that at a minimum, the episode had been animated and audio files of the voice acting existed, making a rough cut of the episode. It is also known that no music had been composed, as Emilio stated that the music would need composing and editing would need to be done on the episode to consider it complete. He also shared some concept art that is in full colour, giving us a better look at Hun and Garbage Man, as well as the surgeon that separated them. While there is a small possibility that this rough cut of the episode may have survived and exists somewhere, Emilio implied that he didn't know where it was, as he said that if it can be found, a new edit can be constructed. It is likely on the hard drive of some member of the crew who worked on the animation, or somewhere in Viacom's archives, since they currently own the TMNT license. Given its incredibly dark subject matter, it's unlikely we'll see any sort of official release of this rough draft from Viacom and Nickelodeon themselves, and the chances of them spending the money to complete the episode today are pretty much zero. Unless a crew member in possession of the footage leaks it, we'll have to be content with the concept art and plot summaries of this lost episode of one of the early 2000s best animated shows. Mon Colle Knights. I have no clue if I've pronounced that correctly. Yet another anime series that first aired on Fox Kids before being rerun on Jetix's Anime Invasion Sundays block, Mon Colle Knights was based on the manga of the same name, which, in itself, was based on the Monster Collection trading card game, and was about two kids, named Mondo and Rockne in the dubbed version, who are able to travel to a world called Mon World, where all manner of magical creatures live. They work together to find 6 items which, when combined, would merge the Mon world with Earth for the good of all creatures, while also fighting the evil Prince Excentro, who wants to dominate both worlds. The show has been made available in the West since its initial airing on Jetix through streaming services like Crunchyroll, but only the Japanese dub is available to watch. Through official means, the English dub that aired on Fox Kids and Jetix is nowhere to be found, with recordings of them airing on Fox Kids back in the day being the only way the dub has been preserved. From what I could tell, most of the dub was actually compiled together and made available on the Internet Archive by a user named LammyV0X. According to this user, all 51 episodes of the show were dubbed, but only 46 of them were aired, with episode 38 and episodes 48 to 51 being fully dubbed but not aired. In terms of the episodes that were confirmed to air, we currently have episodes 1 to 45 archived in their entirety. However, Lammy says they haven't been able to get their hands on episodes 46 and 47 of the dub that aired on Jetix, leaving them lost to time. The episodes of this dub are incredibly rare and hard to come by, as no home media release for this dub was ever made. However, from what I've read on some forums, a company called Discotech, who are known for releasing some harder to find and more obscure anime in America, are trying to track down the episodes of this particular English dub. If those rumours are true, perhaps someday if they are able to somehow get their hands on all the episodes, we may finally see the version of Mon Colle Knights that aired on Jetix resurface again in its entirety. The lost Jetix dubs. While the Jetix block is well remembered by American viewers, the Jetix brand as a whole arguably saw more success and exposure in the various international regions where it was used, such as in the UK, India, and various other European countries, with Jetix not just operating as a TV block in a lot of these countries, but as a whole dedicated channel. As such, a lot of the shows that aired on Jetix internationally received dubs into the country's native language that haven't been preserved or archived anywhere on the internet. Now, I'm sure there are a load of these from various different shows that aired on the channels and blocks as the Jetix brand operated all over the world, but some notable ones I was able to find include a Danish dub of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers that has 2 episodes archived online, a Norwegian dub of Sonic X that supposedly had some episodes released on DVD, various dubs of Jetix original shows such as Yin Yang Yo, Get Ed, and Pucca, as well as dubs for multiple anime series that aired on the channel like Kirby Right Back At Ya and Hamtaro. It's hard to keep track of just how many international dubs Jetix had for its shows, with Jetix Europe alone operating in 58 countries and airing shows in at least 18 different languages, making it much harder to create a complete and comprehensive list of exactly which dubs have what content found from them. There are dubs into languages like Polish, Hebrew, Italian, Spanish, Persian. There's potentially hundreds of episodes of these shows that could have lost content from their international dubbed versions. Due to the difficulty of archiving these and how obscure some of them are, with a lot of these possibly airing in countries where they may not have been recorded or released to home media, it will be down to fans who watched or remember these dubs and recorded them back in the day to archive them. I also think it would be interesting to hear from you all. Do you guys have any distinct memories of watching any Jetix shows dubbed into your native language? Do let me know in the comments below. I'd love to read through some of the stories you guys have about your favourite dubs. But for now, unless they received some sort of DVD release from back in the day that we're blissfully unaware of, a lot of these international versions of Jetix shows may be gone permanently if not enough people cared to record or remember that they exist. Urban Vermin. While technically not being a lost show like a lot of entries on this list, Urban Vermin is quite unique in that it was aired in Europe and Canada, but is currently only available in one of those regions. If you're like me and had never heard of this show before watching this video, Urban Vermin is about two raccoon brothers named Ken and Abe who fight each other over the control of the garbage on their block. And based on clips I've seen from this, man, it featured some truly awful animation. This almost looks like some food fight tier nightmare fuel. And while it's not quite that bad, this show was made in 2007, back when 3D animation wasn't as awful as it was in the late 90s and early 2000s, so this weird show must have been made on a real small budget to poop out another original show for Jetix to air. As I said before, the show was aired in both Canada and Europe. However, as of right now, the show can only be watched in Canada as it is only available on Bell Media's streaming service Crave, which can only be accessed in Canada, as well as on DVDs that were released out there. Clips of the episodes can be found on YouTube, but not all of the episodes themselves are available there, as only a handful have been archived and are available for viewing online. From what I can see, the DVDs seem to be pretty easy to find on eBay, so while I don't think this show is technically lost, I found a thread on the Lost Media Wiki forums about how the show is geo-blocked and is almost impossible to watch anywhere outside of Canada, so I thought it would be cool to include it here. All it would take is someone to buy some of these DVDs in Canada and upload their contents to the internet, but I feel like this is just one of those shows that has been forgotten thanks to the passage of time and thus has eluded preservation, unlike a lot of shows that aired on Jetix. Power Rangers animated series. As one of the biggest shows to air on the channel, multiple seasons of Power Rangers saw their debut on Jetix, particularly those produced under what many fans dub as the Disney era, which covered from Wild Force up until RPM. This, alongside reruns of older seasons under the Power Rangers Generations moniker, made Power Rangers a staple of the Jetix brand, so it probably doesn't come as a surprise that Disney wanted to debut an animated series based on the franchise on Jetix. There is very little that is known about this potential animated adaptation of Power Rangers, and its existence wasn't public knowledge until 2004 when musician Ron Wasserman, who has composed music for multiple seasons of Power Rangers, responded to a comment saying, "By the way, you guys probably already know this, there is going to be a new animated version of Power Rangers. A friend of mine is doing the sound effects of the 2-minute promo and said it looks amazing. Hopefully I'll hear from somebody on that project." Since this post was made in 2004, it was a couple of years after Power Rangers had been purchased by Disney and was airing on Jetix, so they clearly had plans early on in their time owning the franchise. There is no record of Ron mentioning the series after this, and information on the project went dormant until 2013 when DeviantArt user Brandon Ragnar posted this piece of concept art with the caption, "Several years ago, I was hired by Disney to redesign the Power Rangers for them. They were considering doing an animated series. This was my single image take." This page is no longer accessible since it seems like Brandon has deactivated his DeviantArt account, but the page can still be visited using the Wayback Machine. As you can see, the concept art is a very different take on Power Rangers, not being directly inspired by any Sentai series, although these designs do bear some resemblance to the Rangers seen in the first Sentai series, Himitsu Sentai Go Ranger. The final mention of this animated adaptation of Power Rangers comes from a video uploaded in 2017 by YouTube user Guy27Anime, which gives us a look at a pitch for an animated Power Rangers show from a company called Nerdcore Entertainment. The video's description doesn't offer any more information about the pitch. However, looking in the comments for the video, the original uploader states that it was made by a very small crew in about a weekend, which is why the pitch uses stock sounds and doesn't have very detailed backgrounds. Weirdly enough, I went back to the original upload of this video and couldn't find the comment where the original uploader said this, but I do thankfully have a screenshot of the comment saved from when I made my first Jetix Lost Media video, which is what you're seeing on screen now. I'm unsure if the comment was deleted by the original uploader or was taken down for another reason. Adding further to the mystery, the uploader was asked where they got the footage from, if they were related to the production, and why they decided to make the video unlisted, and they simply stated that Saban Brands likes to make things disappear. This cryptic response is quite intriguing and makes me wonder where the uploader even got the video from in the first place. As you can see, the pitch itself is a pretty basic 3D animation that has all of the hallmarks of what you'd want in a Power Rangers show. The goofy poses, a big monster, fun action, and a Megazord battle. One thing I would be interested to know is if the Nerd Colle Pilot, the animated show that Ron Wasserman referred to, and the show that Brandon Ragnar shared concept art for, are all related, as the length of time between all of them being shared is quite vast, with Ron's initial post being in 2007, Brandon's post being in 2013, and the upload of the Nerd Colle Pilot being in 2017. Although, in Brandon's post he does mention that Disney had asked him to redesign the Rangers several years ago, so this could be referring to the time that Ron had mentioned the show was in development, and the designs of the Nerd Colle pitch do somewhat resemble the designs in Brandon's concept art, so there's every possibility that all three of these people were talking about the exact same pitch, and the only video footage of it is the pilot from Nerd Colle. Either way, the case of the cancelled animated Power Rangers TV show is really strange but really interesting. With Power Rangers now being owned by and barely being kept alive by Hasbro if we're honest, it is unlikely we'll ever hear any more information about this show's conception unless anyone involved with it reveals more of its details. Pucca Racing World Bike Tour. Surprisingly enough, the previously mentioned Attack of the Schlumpie isn't the only piece of lost media based on Pucca, as in 2007, Pucca's original creators, Vu's character system, teamed up with South Korean game developer Gravity Co. Limited to produce a game based on the Pucca IP. Titled Pucca Racing World Bike Tour, this game had the characters from Pucca competing in scooter races, with the gameplay incorporating various elements from other popular racing games, such as power-ups, different tracks, and ghosts. Players could also purchase outfits and scooters for their characters, with the game featuring a licensed leveling up system, where the levels of several players' licenses would be displayed on a leaderboard on the official Pucca Racing website. From what I could see online, the game was never actually released here in the West, as the initial servers launched in Korea and subsequent servers went live in Thailand in 2008. The Korean version of the game was hosted on its own website, unlike the Thai version, which was hosted on the official website for Ini3 Digital, which is an online game service provider in Thailand. Both of these versions of the game remained live for some time, however the Thai server was shut down somewhere in 2010, with the original Korean version being taken down at a later, unknown date, and while the download pages for both versions of the game have been archived, there is no way to download or play the game as of 2026. What we do have available to us is some gameplay and trailers that people have posted to YouTube that give us an idea of the game's content and what it played like. As you can see, the game utilised 3D graphics and looks kind of like a Mario Kart clone, with the characters using the standard art style used in other Pucca media, and the tracks resembling something like Mario Kart again. As with a lot of free online games from back in the day, once the original servers shut down, preserving them becomes almost impossible unless there are fan efforts to emulate or run their own servers like there have been with other games in the past. Without us having access to the game's original files or being able to connect to the original servers, the download pages that we have available are all but useless when it comes to helping us play the game, and just act as a reminder of this old Pucca game that we will likely not be able to play anytime soon. Shin-chan Vitello dub. Crayon Shin-chan is a Japanese manga series written and illustrated by Yoshito Uzui that follows the adventures of a 5-year-old boy named Shinosuke Shin Nohara and his friends and family as he goes about daily life, which is often exaggerated with fantastical elements. The manga was adapted as an anime series back in 1992 by Shin-E Animation and is still airing new episodes to this day, with 1,200 episodes under its belt, making it one of the longest running anime series ever made. The anime series was brought over to America in 2006 with a dub produced by Funimation, who have done dubs for several anime series, and many assume this is the first English dub that was ever produced for this show. And while this is the common belief, there was actually one before this in the early 2000s, made by a company named Vitello Productions in Burbank, California. This dub was never actually aired in the US, but aired in the UK from 2002 to 2005, with the series starting its run on Fox Kids UK, with episodes that featured 3 segments per episode, and ending its run on Jetix. Unlike on Fox Kids, the show normally aired on Jetix as shorts, or as filler content between other shows or movies that didn't fill the entirety of their time slot. This dub is also known to have aired in various other countries, such as Australia, Iceland, and Ireland, and entertainment executive Brian Lacey confirmed that the dub was sold in New Zealand, Canada, and South Africa, but it has never been confirmed whether or not it was actually aired in any of these countries. As for the dub itself, like a lot of anime dubs in the early 2000s, it was heavily censored and localized, with changes to text that appeared on screen and the show's soundtrack. We have a list of the production crew and cast for this dub that featured veteran voice actors like Pat Fraley and Grey Delisle, and over the years, various segments from this dub of the show have been uploaded to the internet. Most of these uploads came from the same source, a user on the Kambetsu forums who uploaded some of the 52 episodes that aired on the show on Fox Kids UK. However, there are still a load of the segments that are partially or completely lost to this day. From what I've read online, the show apparently wasn't particularly liked by Jetix UK, with viewers on forums suggesting that it aired sporadically at random times throughout the day, like early mornings or late nights, so this is probably a case where the network that aired the show wasn't particularly fond of it for whatever reason, and decided just to not air it as often. 60 of the segments were actually released on DVD in Australia, but these have been uploaded and the ones that are missing were never released on home media. With the show airing at weird times, unless someone was up at strange hours of the morning or night recording them, recordings of these episodes will be very hard to come by, at least once airing on Jetix UK. Interestingly, even though there was only 52 episodes that aired of the Vitello dub, there was actually somewhat of a spiritual successor to this dub, made by a company called Foos Entertainment, and even less is known about this second season of the show, with none of it appearing online. But since it didn't air on Jetix, I'll save this one for some point in the future, where I'm sure Shin-chan will make an appearance on this channel once again. Robo Crosser. Planned for a spring 2009 release, Robo Crosser was a planned anime series produced by Telecom Animation Film for Jetix that we did take a look at in the first video. According to an article from Telecom's website, the story was set in the future and was about a boy named Kenta who takes on the challenge of the world-renowned race Robocross, with a robot unicycle left behind by his father. The earliest known plans for this show date back to 2004, when Telecom shared storyboards for the first 3 episodes of the series on their website. They also projected that the series would run for 26 episodes, with the names of the writers and storyboard artists of the first 3 episodes also being revealed. Information on the series was then dormant until 4 years later in 2008, where the series was formally announced at the Tokyo International Anime Fair. At the event, attendees were given a postcard that depicts the show's 2 main characters, the previously mentioned Kenta and a female character whose name has never been revealed. Along with the postcard, there was also a whole booth dedicated to the show at the event, which someone thankfully grabbed a photo of. This booth gives us a better look at the show's art style, with some pretty cool looking artwork and screenshots of episodes scattered around it, as well as what appears to be a screen built into the booth playing a trailer for the show that, to this day, has never surfaced online. As of 2026, this is the only piece of animation that is known to exist from this series, and the only thing we have from it is a single screenshot that comes from a Japanese blog site where someone was discussing the announcement of the show. In the blog post, they stated that it looks like the show was never produced after all, implying that the project was likely cancelled after the initial announcement at the anime fair for one reason or another. One interesting thing to note is that the screenshot features a Jetix watermark in the bottom left corner and doesn't appear to be a clean rip of the trailer, as it looks more like a picture someone had taken of the screen playing it. Based on this, I'd be interested to know whether this trailer aired on Jetix at some point, or if this picture comes from the anime fair and the watermark was present on the version of the trailer shown there. The only other content we have from this show's production are two of the initial storyboards that were shared on Telecom's website, with the rest of them remaining hidden as they became inaccessible once the webpage that hosted them went offline. Since the rest of these storyboards weren't properly archived, we don't know how many were released in total, or what other content from the show they may have contained. The last update to come from this show was in May of 2023, when 96 sheets of production material from the show were made available for purchase on Yahoo Japan auctions. However, Reddit user Ubizwa states that only citizens of Japan could bid on the auction. Unfortunately, the auction ended with the production materials being sold to someone who hasn't yet made them available to the public, meaning they were most likely bought by someone in Japan who was perhaps not aware of their value or what they could mean to the lost media community. And while this was the case up until the release of my first video, literally 1 week after I posted it, the storyboards and a postcard from the show apparently went up for sale again, this time on the Japanese auction site Mercari. Sadly though, it was the same situation as the first time, when no one from the West was able to purchase these items since they were only available in Japan. I wasn't able to find any images associated with these listings, as both of the links I found for them take you to the blank page I'm showing you right now, so I'm unsure if the postcard from the listing is the same as the one I mentioned earlier, or if there was some variation to it, but it does confirm some of these things still do exist, somewhere. There is no other information available on the series, and it is currently unknown whether any episodes made it past the storyboard stage. And while last time it did feel pretty hopeless to me that we'd ever see anything from this series again, we got lucky with 3 listings of items from this show for sale, so who's to say we won't see that happen again, and have whatever remaining production materials that exist from this show unearthed, finally putting to rest the mystery of what remains of this Jetix anime series. Myo and Ga. As opposed to being a lost piece of media, this entry is actually a cancelled piece of media that was to be an animated series that would air on Jetix from the creators of another franchise that we've spoken about on this list, that being W.I.T.C.H Character System, the creators of Pucca. Along with a Spanish company named Emira Entertainment, they had plans to co-produce an animated series called Myo and Ga, The Life of a Hero, or simply Myo and Ga for short. The show was set to follow the adventures of 3 main characters, a rabbit named Myo, whose design seems to be inspired by Bruce Lee's costume in Game of Death, a turtle named Ga, and a chicken named Ku. There are various pieces of content available from this show, including a lot of test animations, some promo pictures, concept art, a Twitter account made to promote the show, as well as a website dedicated to the show that can be accessed via the Wayback Machine. Granted, the website is in Korean, so I can't read any of what it says, but I did find a video on YouTube uploaded by user SnowPicola097 that has a walkthrough of the website, showcasing that some of it is indeed in English, with the website containing content such as character profiles, a synopsis of the series, a flash game, and other downloadable content like wallpapers and random screenshots. The series was promoted on the W.I.T.C.H website as late as 2021, and characters from the series even made real-life appearances, such as at the Itaewon Global Village Festival in Seoul, or as statues, with the latest one being seen promoting Barbecue Zone Park in 2024. I find it very bizarre that these characters are still showing up in the most random places today, despite the fact that, technically speaking, their show never actually released, and based on all the stuff that was made to promote these guys, it's clear that they were intended to have a huge push by W.I.T.C.H. Even though we have a whole wealth of content available for this show, there is equally as much that is lost, such as some animated promo shorts that were uploaded to the W.I.T.C.H website, along with any production material that existed for the show before it was cancelled. From what I could see online, it isn't known why the full series never came to be, and the main rabbit character, Myo, has since appeared in some newer Pucca shorts, leading some to think that the series may be revived in some way. I'd be interested to hear if anyone knows any more information about this show, as I've tried my best to summarise the bits and pieces I could find online here, but honestly, it seems like there are gaps in the knowledge available out there, and even with the mass amount of content we have involving these characters, I get the feeling that there is a lot more that remains unseen. Lost Jetix bumpers and commercials. This entry refers to all of the lost bumper content from Jetix, whether that be the bumpers from the Jetix block that aired on Toon Disney in the US, or the ones from the various international versions of the Jetix channel. A lot of these bumpers were made, the majority of which are bumpers to say that a show is next on Jetix, or to say that a show will be right back, with some of the shows that had these bumpers being Batman the Animated Series, Digimon Data Squad, Jackie Chan Adventures, various seasons of Power Rangers, and many others. Other bumpers include lineup bumpers from international versions of Jetix, the show is a set of 3 shows that are upcoming on Jetix, as well as various commercials for different shows, and giveaways on the channel, such as these Power Rangers Fan Force ones from here in the UK that give me an insane amount of nostalgia. I wanted to win one of those trolley dashes to a toy store so bad. One could dream, I suppose. I'm probably starting to sound like a broken record player at this point if you watch my videos on a regular basis, but like with other interstitial content, there is pretty much zero chance that any of this stuff is released officially at any point, so it will be down to fans to archive and maintain a list of what is and isn't missing. As of right now, I found that the old archived Lost Media wiki has a list of some of the bumpers that are known to exist and are lost, although I don't know how up to date this list is, and if any of these other bumpers have been found as of yet, or whether this is even a complete list of all the bumpers that are lost. The ones that are available mostly come from VHS recordings of Jetix airing back in the day that have been uploaded to YouTube or the Internet Archive. When it comes to bumpers and lost commercials, it's almost a bottomless pit where there is likely some that exist out there that we don't even know about as no one has mentioned them online, and companies don't bother to archive any of this stuff as they only ever need it in the short term, making the search for a complete set of these a very difficult, if not impossible task. Totally Spies pitch trailer. Even though it aired on ABC Family before moving to Cartoon Network in America, the French animated series Totally Spies aired on Jetix in various parts of Europe and here in the UK. The show was about 3 teenage girls from Beverly Hills named Alex, Sam and Clover who work as undercover agents for the World Organization of Human Protection. I remember the show being really popular back in the day and seeing it advertised often with Jetix branding plastered all over it. The show first premiered in 2001 and has gone on for multiple seasons, with new episodes continuing to be made today. One thing that some fans of the show may not be familiar with though, is that the show actually has some lost content from a couple of years prior to its creation, as there is a pitch trailer that exists for the show that has never been released in its entirety. Initially thought to be a pilot episode for the show, the only footage we had for a long time from this trailer comes from a promo that ran on Fox Kids that shows footage that isn't featured in the final show, showing a different animation style and a different design for the character Alex, where she has a lighter skin colour closer to that of the other girls in the series. Aside from this promo, no other information was available on the trailer until April 15th of 2021, when Twitter user Archive of Alex got in contact with the director and art director of the show, Stefan Berry. Berry told Archive of Alex that he developed the trailer himself while travelling between Paris, Los Angeles and Seoul, and confirmed that the short animation wasn't a pilot episode but was indeed a trailer that had a runtime of 1 minute and 30 seconds. And while he was able to give some information on this animation to the Lost Media community, unfortunately Stefan also stated that he doesn't have a copy of the trailer itself and is unsure where the trailer or any production materials related to it could be found. As this was likely only used for promotional and pitching purposes, it's highly unlikely that any member of the public has a copy of it unless it aired on TV at some point, and since Stefan developed the animation himself and even he can't find it, this may be a case where the trailer is lost for good unless copies of it were made and remain unearthed in the vault of some studio involved with the production or promotion of Totally Spies. PXG. And now we're back here again with the show that first inspired me to make my first Jetix video, and in some way, inspired me to make this channel in the first place, as I remember trying to find episodes of this show online a long time ago, only to find out that most of the show is actually lost media. For those of you who aren't from the UK and are wondering what this show is, PXG was a magazine show created by Prism Entertainment for broadcast on Jetix in the UK, with the show centering on the host Kintaro and his CGI assistant Game Girl as they discuss video game news, reviews, tips and cheats. When the show started out, it covered the three main consoles of the 6th console generation, these being the PS2, Xbox and GameCube, hence the title PXG. This was before expanding to cover games from the 7th console generation, such as the PS3, Xbox 360, and the Wii. The show's format operated on a schedule from Monday to Friday, airing 2-minute interstitials during commercial breaks from Monday to Thursday, with a different segment on each day, and all of these segments were combined and rebroadcast on Friday, alongside new footage. The segments that aired from Monday to Thursday were called Big in Japan, Mobile Madness, Console Kids, and Easy PC, with each focusing on reviews and discussions for different types of games and consoles. The 4 of these segments would then be combined alongside another segment called Top of the Chops to make PXG Fridays, a half-hour show that had in-depth previews of upcoming games, as well as occasional photos of people dressing up as their favourite video game characters. This part of the show is one I remember very specifically, as me and my brother tried coming up with ideas for photos to submit to the show when we were little kids. Just watching a lot of the footage that is available from the show online, it's pretty surreal to me that this is lost media when I have such a vivid memory of watching it as a young kid. Information on the show is very limited, and full episodes of the half-an-hour PXG Fridays are impossible to find online. We do have a variety of commercials and clips from the show, which is where the footage you're looking at right now comes from, but outside of this, there's nothing. From my research, I couldn't even find much information on Prism Entertainment who produced the show, outside of the fact that they produced a game show for ITV called Land Jam, which, ironically enough, was also about video games and is also lost. In my research, I had also come across a statement on an archived webpage of the Jetix Europe website from the managing director of Prism Entertainment that reads, "PXG empowers Jetix viewers by filling a hole in kids' lives that no other channel fills. Video gaming is huge, and the quest for knowledge about it is as yet unfulfilled in the kids' TV broadcast space. We are very excited to be working with Jetix again, who are well placed to provide this service." One of the more interesting things that I came across in my hunt for this show is that in June of 2020, a clip of the show was posted to YouTube by user AlvaSkins. The clip is in 1080p and is rendered at 50 FPS, a much higher resolution and frame rate than any of the other clips available online, and it's a higher resolution than a kid show from the early 2000s would have ever been broadcast in. When asked where he got the footage in the comments, AlvaSkin said he got it from one of his old show reels, but also said that he unfortunately doesn't have any more footage, and that he doubts there were any tapes of the show even left at some old Jetix warehouse. It's unknown if AlvaSkins worked for Jetix UK, but it can be assumed he had something to do with the production of PXG, as he said he got it off a show reel of his. There's no way to contact him online, aside from through his YouTube channel, which he hasn't uploaded on for over 3 years, so I'm not holding my breath to get a response on there. He did say if he found more footage from the show, he would upload it, but it's been several years since his original post, and he hasn't uploaded any more footage since. As I've said for multiple other entries on this list, and just as one final reminder in this video, the show is most likely to be found by old recordings of Jetix UK being posted online, with commercials that we can comb through to try and find some of the 2-minute interstitial segments. As for the full half-an-hour episodes, I'd imagine these will be much harder to come by, as the show never received a home media release of any kind, likely due to its time-sensitive nature, similar to something like JBVO, another show that we covered in our Cartoon Network Lost Media video. Earlier, I mentioned that on AlvaSkins' upload of the HD clip from the show, a user asked where he obtained the footage. As it turns out, this was a user named Alan Buzzy, who I found out wrote the Lost Media wiki page for this show, and was leading a search for it via Discord between 2019 and 2020. He contacted some people involved with the show's production, like emailing Prism Entertainment or speaking to producers, but he wasn't able to get any more content or information this way. From what I can see on the Lost Media Wiki forums, his last post was in October 2020, and there hasn't been an update since, but this was followed up by a user named SuperLuke99 who posted a text file of a list of games featured on the show. As I said in my first video, as much as I want to hold out hope that more from this show will be found someday, as it is a show I'm super nostalgic for, I don't know how likely it is since, as far as I know, it only ever aired in the UK, and finding people who were involved with its production seems to be very difficult as is. PXG, much like many of the other items on this list, and more obscure Jetix media in general, is a victim of having very little attention paid to it since its initial airing, and having since gone under the radar. It seems like only fans of the show, such as me or maybe you watching this video, remember its existence and make any attempt to try and find and preserve its contents for older fans and those who are curious of Jetix's content to enjoy.